Tell me about artists, or perhaps visual artists, or other musicians that inspire you. They give you direction or make you happy.
Yeah, okay. I've been saying this a lot lately because a lot of people always think, oh, okay, just electronic music, and so, my big inspiration is Depeche Mode and Front 242 or something like that, and I'm kind of totally anti that. Well, it never was. I like individuals and I like the weirdos. So as soon as somebody, even in the alternative, so-called alternative, the problem with alternative, like these days, it's just a genre. It's not real.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm always looking for the ones that are kind of like out there and they're really their own thing. There's some that I don't necessarily like their music. But they inspire me because they're an individual. Like an example, which I mentioned, was Diamanda Gallis. I've tried to get into her, and I know that there's a lot of people who are huge fans, and I mean, she obviously has an audience. I can't really sit down and listen to a whole album of her, but I'm inspired by the fact that she exists.
Right.
And I also like the fact that she is completely individual and also has a special philosophy and representation that she follows through right to the letter. I think that's the kind of thing that really gets me going. I feel that I started out that way myself, but I kind of lost a little bit because I made a lot of compromises to be more popular, and I'm kind of hoping that it won't destroy me to go back to not giving a fuck whether or not it's popular, just doing it. And but it's so hard. I'm also, on the other hand, I'm a person who wants to please everybody. So you want to make a kind of music that anyone can like, but at the same time you want it to be as individual as possible, and that is really, really hard.
Right.
Another group that it really inspires me still is Blondie, because they were one of the first and very few that still somehow managed to make a couple records that really covered a lot of genres of music, but it was still, like, I'm obsessed with the Auto American album because, they covered at least 4 or 5 different musical genres, but it was still a complete Blondie record, and that I always thought that was brilliant. I loved all the early Fad Gadget stuff. He only made like 4 albums, but
right.
That was another one who just seemed to have a range within his specific sound, and then of course I became obsessed with sort of like some of these weird gospel things around when was that, about the beginning of the 90s, actually, end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s. I discovered Nina Simone, and she pretty much took over my world for about 10 or 12 years, and had to collect. I became a collector and had to have everything, and I don't know, it's weird because it's like, now sometimes I realize that she's not a fantastic singer, but she's, there's certain people that, or their voice or their style or something like that, they're so much themselves, and it comes across in the music that you can feel the person is there, or that whatever they're representing is there, and that's something that I really, really like. I think that's the kind of music that I mostly listen to. I like also some cheesy chill out and maybe some Euro dance stuff or whatever too, but the stuff I really stick to that I can listen to for like the last 20 years has got to be either way out there, like Chrome was, like that Red Exposure album and stuff like that.
Right.
There's just like nothing to compare to that. Like they were totally, like science fiction as music, and and then that sort of more emotional kind of stuff, like Nina Simone, or even I'm actually more into jazz artists these days because I don't know why. Jazz for me is freedom. I don't mean like jazz fusion rock, but like the stuff like Melody Garden and the things that are like that sound like as if they could have been recorded in the 40s, but they're still being done now. I'm actually totally amazed that there's a person who might be 20 to 25 years old that would actually pursue that kind of music.
Right.
And actually feel that kind of music and be able to write songs in that style. I'm absolutely amazed that there's a human being in the 2000s that actually does that. That just blows me away because I would say that the general, musician scene is either they're emo or they sound like Green Day or you know what I mean? Like it it just seems to me that like that's the majority of music, or it's like that cheesy soul stuff, like whatever, you know, Alicia Keys or something.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha.
I don't want to say these people don't necessarily absolutely you know, feel what they're doing, but it's just this processing that, you know, makes it radio friendly disgusts me.
Right. And it's the overproducedness of it.
Yeah.
How much performance art goes into what you do?
I'd say it was a little bit more than before, like, you know, because we were trying to do our horror show on stage and stuff like that, and so we really had like the whole thing, you know, like drilling our keyboard and having fake blood flying out and all that stuff. I don't do any of that anymore, and so yeah, it's kind of died down. It's more for me now about the vocal, and I'm actually trying to come up with something for the next when I make the next album that I could maybe be a little bit more with the visuals and the dress sense and everything, because it's like, you know, there's all the typical goth cliches how you can dress and you can look like I don't know what. I mean, and it's not really so much the Robert Smith and Susie. It's more these days I don't know, all these emo bands and stuff like that. And I don't like that, and so I'm trying to come up with something more sophisticated. But I think, yeah, we're not quite as artsy. I mean, in the last while, it's really just either I perform the songs really well and and the way I move and stuff like that. But that's all I got to offer at the moment. I'm still trying to come up with a concept. I wish I could do something that was like a Laurie Anderson show,
right? Where
you've got these different mood and lighting and setting for every song. That would be my goal to work towards for next year.
Right. I noticed that you're you know, when you mentioned Ms. Gallus and Laurie Anderson, that's very performance art based, and so I got my mind thinking about how much of that influences what you do.
It does, but I don't have the guts to even. I don't even know. Like, you know, I mean, if I was, I wonder if does Amanda Gallus ever sit at home and have a good laugh about the way she sings? I mean, I don't know. It's like, I mean, how serious is it? You know what I mean? It's like either you're like that and you can stand on stage and perform like that and be 100% true to yourself and your soul. I don't know. I mean, for me, it would still be. Yeah, I mean, that's just like really going too far. I want the audience to have a good time and involve them and not just be there and freak them out. So, so I'm inspired by them, but I, you know, like I said, I'm still trying to figure out my own kind of visual representation.
Right.